Wesley turned away, and Sir Harold, unsurprisingly, didn't follow. Wesley left the ground-floor ballroom, wandering down a wide hall with red carpet. The dark wood walls were lined with portraits of white men, Blanchard's ancestors certainly, because every last one was almost eerily similar in look to the Earl of Blanchard himself. The same small pointed nose and chin, the thin lips, the pale skin and eyes. They could have been portraits of the same man, only the clothes of the past 2 centuries changing. Wesley preferred landscapes to people, both in his art and his company. But then art was a waste in the first place. Nothing but an attempt at a distraction, as if a bit of paint could camouflage the shortfalls of one's true surroundings. At the end of the hall was a wide staircase curving up to the first floor. Wesley's feet made no noise on the carpet as he climbed, passing a dark window at the landing, rain lashing the black glass. The smoking room had to be nearby. Surely he wasn't expected to make it through an evening without respite. The stairs brought him to another wide hall, this one lined with doors along one side and an open railing that overlooked the downstairs on the other. Waist-high white pillars were spaced down the hall, topped with glass display cases. The closest one held a Spanish morion, the silver gleaming almost too bright in the hall's electric lights. Wesley wasn't interested in art, but a helmet that might have seen battle did make him pause. As he leaned in for a closer look at the etchings that decorated the morion, a woman's shout came from somewhere to his right.
"Mr. Chester, I told you to— Oh, my lord!"
Wesley looked over to see a woman in a maid's uniform, her face bright red.
"Begging your pardon,"
she stammered, making a hurried curtsy.
"We had someone's valet poking about earlier. I didn't mean to—"
"It's fine," he said tiredly, before the maid could continue her self-recrimination. She was probably around 30, like he himself was, like many of the women downstairs. But unlike the guests, she wore no makeup, the lines visible at the corners of her mouth and eyes. His soldiers' faces had been like hers, aged too soon by too much work and uncertainty, and Wesley had a shred more patience for her accidental impudence than he had for Sir Harold's insincere sympathies. "If you could point me to the smoking room." She curtsied again, rag still in hand.
"Of course, my lord. The next hallway, second door. I'll see that you're tended to."
The next hallway had doors on both sides, which meant it had 2 second doors. Wesley narrowed his eyes. The headache forming in his temple wasn't going to go away without a smoke, and the maid truly could have been more precise and not wasted his time. The first door he tried was locked, but the other door was, mercifully, the smoking room. It had the dark wood walls of the rest of the manor, with leather furniture in shades of burgundy and black. At least the art was landscapes here, every last one a hunting scene. Wesley's father would have approved, and would have expected Wesley to approve as well. Wesley was a dead shot with a firearm, thanks to the man, even 4 years after the war. The thought only made Wesley want a cigarette more. This early in the evening, the room was empty. The other men were likely waiting until after dinner to join each other for smokes. Exactly as Wesley wanted. He picked a chair in the deepest corner and settled into the leather. A footman appeared, a box in hand. He opened the lid, displaying a selection of fine cigars, 2 of them quite rare. Wesley would have blown the man for a cheap pack of Woodbine. It was all tobacco. The doctors were saying it all rotted your lungs. What was the point in dressing it up? He'd smoked whatever he got his hands on in the army, same as his men. Giving it a fancy appearance now didn't change how Wesley's skin itched for it, how he became irritable as a bear without it, how he'd been infected with something as galling as an addiction. But then people did assume a cigar was a choice, not a craving. He picked one from the box at random. It would give him the peace of mind to get through dinner. He took his time inhaling peppery tobacco, smoking the cigar down to the stub and letting it take the edge off his irritation. Eventually, however, the thought of someone looking for him made him reluctantly stand from his seat. Marginally calmer, or at least no longer itching, he left the stub in an ashtray